What's up guys, it's Misha and welcome to my second video of the day, another deck profile. This is the deck profile for my second pre-release. This deck I went 3-0 with and came second, only by percentages, which is really frustrating. But I had a lot of fun with this deck. There are certain cards in it that just basically auto-won me the game. And I used a little bit of a different strategy building this one to my previous one, which you can check out by clicking the link in the description below or by clicking on the video at the end on my end screen. So I'm just going to jump straight into this deck profile. Again, I mentioned it in my first one. I did get Drampa in both of my pre-releases. I swapped him afterwards for the Oricorio. So I do have now two pre-release promos in Drampa and Oricorio. But I did get both Drampas and I can't switch until afterwards, so I of course incorporated Drampa into the deck. I will quickly go over him again if you haven't seen him already. For a single energy, he can do the attack Amass, which does no damage, but it allows you to search for a basic energy card and attach it to this Pokemon, and then shuffle your deck afterwards. And for 3 of any type of energy, you do 80 damage, and you have to move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. He has 120 HP, he's a basic, he's a dragon type, so I really like him. So that's Drampa. The next Pokemon, now, my advice in the first one was if you get any GXs, you play them. It really is that simple, unless you can't play them because you don't have the first form. For example, with Silver and you need Eevee, Eevee's not in the set, so you can't play it. Then you play it, and to pull a basic GX is fantastic, and I pulled a Tapu Koko GX. This card actually won me my final game. As soon as I'd got 3 energies down onto the field, I threw down Tapu Koko. You really don't want to start with him because his ability Aero Trail allows you to, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may move any number of lightning energy from your other Pokemon to this Pokemon. If you do, switch this Pokemon with your active. So you can throw this down on the bench, move 3 energy to it and put it in the active and have it ready to go with Sky High Claws, which is exactly what I did. I only used him once, and I only used him in my final game because that's when I managed to get him out. And he just absolutely stormed through my opponent's deck. As soon as I got him out, my opponent knew it was over. In fact, he also pulled a Tapu Koko and he didn't manage to get his out. And he sat there and he said, "I think this is game now." And I'm like, I was so sorry that it had to end like that. But that's just the way it goes, I suppose, sometimes. So Tapu Koko, what a fantastic GX to pull. I think he's actually really good anyway. And of course, by pulling Tapu Koko, that kind of dictated to me that I need to use lightning energy. So there are lightning energy in here. I also pulled something else which I'll show you in a minute, which it forced me to play 2 types of energy instead of the only single type of energy that I played in my first deck. So Tapu Koko, lightning energy, forced my hand a bit. And then the next Pokemon is going to be Alolan Vulpix. Now, I said in my first video, Alolan Vulpix, whether you pull the Ninetales or not, should be in your deck, especially at pre-release, and I absolutely stick by that because of the beacon attack for free. You can search for up to 2 Pokemon, reveal them, and put them into your hand. And those 2 Pokemon aren't limited by like being basic or anything. You can search for a stage 1, a stage 2, anything you want, any type of Pokemon you want. So I stick by it. You should play Alolan Vulpix if you pull it. And the main reason I played Alolan Vulpix, aside from just because it's really good, is because, of course, I pulled the Alolan Ninetales as well. So, looking at Alolan Ninetales, his first attack is for a double colourless or just 2 of any type of energy, and it allows you to put 50 damage anywhere. So it allows you to bench snipe. You can bench snipe Petalils. I keep using Petalil as an example because I remember it had 50 HP. But yeah, you can bench snipe. You can place damage to help you later on with Honchkrow, which you'll see again in a minute. So it's just a nice way of spreading damage around. And there's not many ways of healing. There is 1 or 2 ways. I think there's 1 way of healing. but it's not something you have to worry about too much. Blizzard Edge for 160, 2 water and a colourless. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Can be a bit of a pain in pre-release because discarding energy isn't always that good. There's not many ways of getting it back, but there are cards in this set that allow you to get it back. And then for a double colourless or 2 of any energy, Ice Path GX, move all damage counters from this Pokemon to your opponent's active Pokemon. That Ice Path GX actually won me a game. I was going to Blizzard Edge and discard 2 energies, and then I would have been left with 1 prize, but I decided to use Ice Path instead and then Blizzard Edge for the game next turn. Really, really good card. I think I underestimated actually how good Alolan Ninetales is, and it's super, super good in pre-release. In fact, in the first pre-release where I came 6th, my friend Dan, he pulled 2 Alolan Ninetales GXs, the regular art, this one, and the full art, and he came first with his deck because he just ploughed through everyone. He only pulled 1 Alolan Vulpix, which was a bit of a pain, but he just done so well with it, and I think it's actually a very good card. So Alolan Ninetales GX there. So they are the 2 GXs that I pulled in this pre-release, and they both went into my deck. Similar to the first one, I've got 2 Murkrow and 2 Honchkrow. Now, Murkrow, you're not actually going to be using Whirlwind at all because there are no dark energies in this deck. Honchkrow, you're going to be using Raven's Claw, which is going to be helped by Alolan Ninetales' attack where you place damage down, because you can damage a lot of the bench Pokemon and then you can Raven's Claw the active for a knockout. So say Alolan Ninetales, you've thrown down like 150 damage across the board. You're coming up with Honchkrow and you're basically one-hit KOing anything that isn't a GX. That's if your Alolan Ninetales gets knocked out, and that's quite a feat in itself because Alolan Ninetales has 210 HP. But Honchkrow I think is actually really, really good as well. Just a generally very good Pokemon. So we have those. The next Pokemon I decided to play were based on the fact that they had a colourless move. Again, anything that has a colourless move is really good. So I have 2 Phantump, Confuse Ray. You can confuse your opponent. That causes a bit of trouble for them just because confusion, if you don't know how confusion works, it means that your opponent's Pokemon, firstly, it gets put upside down so it's facing towards them. And they have to flip a coin. If heads, their attack goes through. If tails, they damage themselves. They have to place 3 damage counters or 30 damage onto themselves, and the attack doesn't go through. So that can just be a bit disruptive, can cause them a bit of an annoyance. And then I got 1 Trevenant, so I got 2 Phantump and 1 Trevenant with the attack Poltergeist, which I think is going to be really good just in the standard, just in the regular game, not even in pre-release. In fact, in pre-release it's not as good as it will be in the regular games. And that's for his Poltergeist attack for a double colourless or 2 of any energy type. 30 damage times the amount of each trainer cards you find in your opponent's hand. So your opponent reveals their hand, and say they have like 3 trainers in there, you're doing 90 damage. 90 damage is knocking out most of the basics that are non-GXs at least. If you can get 90 damage off with Poltergeist, then good on you, especially in a pre-release. Just because there are a lot less trainers floating around, there are a lot more Pokemon. But it worked quite well. Just move all this over a bit. Yeah. Again, for disruption, we talked about Confuse Ray. Clefairy, we have the Follow Me attack. Switch one of your opponent's active Pokemon. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. So it has a Lysander effect. And I also pulled the Clefable this time. So disruption-wise, we were talking about sending your opponent to sleep, doing 20 damage and sending them to sleep. Now, sleep is a coin flip, so they can wake up and attack. But it's always fun to try and just slow your opponent down by playing things like sleep or poison, any status condition. And status conditions have really, really come back in this. As you've seen here, we've got sleep here. We've got confusion in Phantump. We had Poison in Tentacruel, and Burn is definitely back in stuff like Salazzle as well. So status conditions are always annoying for your opponent. And then the final two Pokemon, same as in the last one, I pulled another 2 Oricorio. And Oricorio is in here for the ability Vital Dance, which if you don't know what it does, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So there are a lot of energies floating around in pre-release decks anyway, but if, especially in this type of deck where I'm running 2 different types of energy, say I need a lightning energy to attach so that I can use Tapu Koko later, I can search my deck for the lightning energies that I need, or maybe I need water energy to use Alolan Ninetails. It just allows me to search for exactly what I need when I need it. So 2 of those. Now into the items. Now this deck I think has more trainers in than the my first deck, just because I pulled a few more. So we're going to start with our search cards, and our first search card is going to be a Great Ball. So look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Pokemon you find there and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. So this is just a good one to maybe help you find, maybe you need a Murkrow, or you need an Oricorio so you can get some more energies. You're going to hit Pokemon in a pre-release deck, because we're running quite a few, as you can see. In fact, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 Pokemon in here, which is, you know, almost half of your deck. So you're going to hit something with Great Ball. So Great Ball, just a nice little way of finding some Pokemon. Then I have 2 Timer Ball, which it is based on a coin flip, but it does really help. So if you don't know what it does, flip 2 coins for each head, search your deck for an evolution Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So in this case, that will help me get out Clefable, Alolan Ninetales, Honchkrow, and Trevenant. It does come down to a coin flip, but they are really helpful to have to help you search out for a Pokemon that you need at the time. So 2 of those. Then we're going into energy related things. So we're going to have 1 Multiswitch. I pulled quite a few of these Multiswitch, and this is a reverse holo. You can't see it very well. But it allows you to move an energy from one of your bench to one of your active Pokemon. So if you only have 2 energy down, for a Drampa, you only have 2 energy on him, and you've cycled the energy off of him to use his attack last time, you can use Multiswitch to put it back on him and do it again. That's the main reason why he's in there. I really like Multiswitch. I think it's a very good card. I said this in the first one. I think we might see this as a one-off in some decks, but really, really good in pre-release, especially if you have Drampa. So there's that one. Into more energy stuff, but more recovery now, and I'm so glad I pulled this one. Energy Recycler. This is a reprint of an old card. It's just a new art, and I really, really like this new art. I think it just looks more sleek. I love the purple in the background. I love the fact the way they've just displayed the energies. I just really like it. I think it looks nicer because of the style of the trainer cards now as well, with the Sun and Moon style. But Energy Recycler allows you to shuffle 5 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. Alolan Ninetales, if you're using its second attack for 2 water and a colourless for 160 damage, you have to discard 2 energies afterwards. So you discard the 2 energies, you use the attack, discard 2 energies, reattach energy, maybe multi-swish another energy onto it so you can use the attack again. Use that attack again. You've got 4 energies in the discard then, and then use Energy Recycler to get those 4 energies back so that you can keep using your attack. So very, very good card. Comes in really, really handy, especially if you have something like Alolan Ninetales. The final recovery card that we have, the final item card, is a Max Potion. I didn't actually get to use this one, but I had it used against me, which is always a pain. Heal all the damage from one of your Pokemon if you do discard all energy from that Pokemon. Now, the person who used their Max Potion against me, I think it actually made them lose the game because they had a lot of energy attached to the Pokemon that they were healing, and they had to discard it all. I think it was 3 on a Mudsdale. And Mudsdale requires at least 3 energies to its first attack, and I think 4 to do its second. So they healed it, which was fine. I mean, Mudsdale has 140 HP, so it just delayed me a little bit. But it also screwed them over because they didn't have a lot of energy left in their deck. And they'd got rid of 3 and they had no energy recovery. So Max Potion is really, really helpful. Slows your opponent down. But I would only ever use it if you have 2 or less energy attached. And maybe only if you have something like Energy Recycler so that you can get that energy back. But good card. Didn't get to use it, sadly. Moving into the supporters. Again, 2 Howls just allows you to draw 3 cards. Nothing really to say about that other than the fact that it just allows you to get more cards if you need them. 2 Professor Kukris this time because there were 2 in my little pack, my trainer pack thing. Professor Kukri, draw 2 cards and do 20 more damage in the turn that you use Professor Kukri. So really good card, allows you to do that extra bit of damage as well as drawing. And then this set has stadiums in it, which is really handy because stadiums are always fun to use if they benefit you. Not everybody's going to pull a stadium, so the likelihood is that the stadium you pull is going to be staying in the game for the vast majority of it. Now, most of the stadiums affect both people, and this one's no exception. And the only reason I ran this one is, well, mainly because, like I said, if you find a stadium, you should use it. I found in my second one, I got Brooklet Hill, and this one allows you to, once during your turn, you may search your deck for a basic water or a basic fighting Pokemon and put it onto your bench and then shuffle your deck. So this was mainly to help me get Alolan Vulpix out. So if I had the Ninetales in my hand, I could use the effect of Brooklet Hill, get the Vulpix out, ready to put the Ninetales down. Downside is there were a lot of fighting Pokemon around in the form of Pancham, in the form of Mudsdale and stuff like that. So it does benefit your opponent, and of course there were a lot of water Pokemon going around as well. Alolan Sandslash was one of the promos. So yeah, this one worked against me a little bit, especially when I played a couple of friendlies against Shay afterwards when we got home. But still, if you get a stadium, make sure you read it for a start, because I didn't really read it properly the first time around. And you should probably put it in regardless. If it's not going to benefit you, then don't put it in at all. But if there's a slight chance that it can benefit you, even if it's for a single card, so for me it was just for Alolan Vulpix, you should put it in anyway, because there's a chance that that could really help you win. And now we get to energies. There's a big portion of your deck is energy. In fact, in this one I think I have 14. And I did an even split down the middle, so I have 7 water. There for Alolan Vulpix, Alolan Ninetales mainly, because almost everything else that I chose has colourless attacks. And then of course 7 lightning. They are for Tapu Koko, and his attack. His ability makes it so much easier to get these onto him. But nice even split 7-7 there. And that's it for this deck. This deck, like I said, it made me go 3-0. I won with this deck. Alolan Ninetales won me my first game. It also won me my second game. And then Tapu Koko won me my third game. So my GXs won this for me. But my first deck, which had no GXs in at all, still did really well at 2-1. And I lost to a GX deck in the first pre-release with this deck. So GXs really, really make a difference. But I absolutely love this deck. I'm keeping my decks assembled to play with them a little bit more. But that's it, yeah, for this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this. I hope it helped you if you are going to a pre-release tomorrow. Or if you're going to any pre-releases in the future, just to give you an idea of what I personally do when I build a deck in pre-release. I look for the colourless Pokemon, or the Pokemon with the colourless attacks is the main thing that I go with. If you get stadiums, use them. If you get GXs and you can use them, then use them. That's my advice. Try and stick to as few energy types as possible. So in my first deck I had 1 energy type, in this one I had 2. The sheet says maybe 3. I wouldn't advise 3. I think 3 makes it really difficult. I'd say 1 or 2 energy types is probably the way to go, but that's how it works for me. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, leave any comments. Let me know about the decks that you built in pre-release if you've already been to a pre-release. Tell me any GXs that you pulled, what promo you pulled, anything like that. Leave a like if you enjoyed this kind of video. Subscribe if you are new, and of course, most importantly, please guys, share this with your friends if you enjoyed it. Who knows, maybe they will as well. So thank you very much for watching. Feel free to check out my other deck profile, which you'll see on the end screen and also in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.